Hello, music fans, underground enthusiasts, and people who used to draw but don't do it much these days. My heart goes out to you. It's weekly list time. You know the drill. You know what it is we do here. Let's talk about some songs. The first of which being Shame by polearm, because this song is so damn stylish. There is a damp fuzziness that coats the entire mix on this track. The synth melodies shimmer, and the soft chord pulses are just so glittery. Everything sounds really nice and satisfying on the ears, and in turn, it's a gorgeous track, even in the most intense, saturated four on the floor kicks that polearm loves to utilize. There is a softness to everything still. The instrumental here is just so full of life. It breathes and it flows nicely, and honestly the precision and quality of this beat almost acts in tandem with the lyrics here, as polearm isn't exactly afraid to address his frustration with the stagnancy of his contemporaries. And the sparkling innovation of this beat is almost proof of his will to evolve when others refuse to. There's a lot of lines here not only about how exhausting he believes inauthentic artistry to be is, but also how high of a standard polearm holds himself to as well. Why must I deny confidence? I'm way too lost in the dark. Why must I deny consciousness of getting lost in the art? Lines of this unfair strictness, taking no breaks, that shows that polearm holds his work to the fire just as much as he does others. The massive wall of staticky texture that closes out this track fits very nicely with the writing. This is a great track from polearm. I'm super impressed by it. He has been on a fucking streak recently. And then up next, we have Swazy with xrxrxr. This song has an unrelenting energy, with Swazy's repetitive hook and brash delivery rattling over this 6th Sense production, whose melodies almost enter into drone territory at times with how melted down the components become. It's a really awesome sound, and I think that stylistically, their intention and creative skills blend together very nicely. It's an aggressive and noisy rage sound that I think that Swazy molds and utilizes well, because although much of the emphasis and spotlight here is granted to sound design and tone, in the endlessly abrasive hats and Swazy's highly synthetic and warbled mix, there is a pretty dense set of lyrics here as well. It's playful and hedonistic, but the bright flashes of self-indulgence and references contain some really great lines that you can also pick apart on subsequent listens. I understand that with songs like this, it is very easy to recognize Swazy as a vocalist. Swazy as somebody that brings energy. It's a lot of fun and bright and kind of brash at times, but also it's important to recognize here that although everything might not be caught on the first listen due to the chaos going on, that Swazy's writing and capability as a lyricist is wry and witty, and at the end of the day, intelligent. It's a lot of fun. I love how catchy this song is. It's an insanely fun track, and Swazy makes sure to hit every mark with explosive intent. Next song on the list is Dex with Miedo Todo. Right out the gate, I love the production on this, which is done by Dex himself, continuing the self-produced trend that he kicked off with the rollout of his most recent album, Bystander, which is an exploration of his talent that I appreciate a lot. He stays close to home with much of the inspiration and influence of the sound, but with a noticeable style that feels unique to him. The plucky guitar and the shimmering melodies sound gorgeous and bright, but the drums and some of the melodies here are bit crushed and fuzzed up a bit as well, creating a harsh but effective contrast for the textures of the track. It feels like Dex is, although operating within a sound and genre that is comfortable and familiar to him, seeing what he can do to expand those sounds and branch out a little bit. There are splashes of emo and dancehall that mix together on the track nicely, a combination that Dex has successfully done in the past. It feels upbeat and dancey with a lingering melancholy to the sound of it. He's a fantastic vocalist and just as good of a writer. I love his approach to this song. It's bittersweet and beautiful. Then we've got Shinigami with Through the Looking Glass. I cannot ignore this release, man. First of all, Death Do Us Apart's production on this absolutely rips. Taking notes from like emocore and post-hardcore bands like At the Drive-In and Unwound on this, with slick, almost mathy riffs, these harsh, fuzzy vocals, and some fun time signature switches thrown in there as well. This song is intense and a little chaotic at parts, but it also has a very strict structure to it, making everything feel very clean and technically precise. And this feels like Shinigami in top form vocally as well, firing on all cylinders, not only with these aggressive screams pushed through the filter of the mix, but also in these floaty melodies that feel so anguished and ethereal, that give the track a bit of reprieve before tumbling back into the main sort of manic energy of everything. I think people love to listen to songs like this, especially from Shinigami, and kind of refer to it as this great homage to a sound since past, complimenting it with terms like accurate, but it gets to a point where I feel the need to just kind of acknowledge that this just is that sound. If this isn't what is, this isn't a recreation of something, this just is that thing. Shinigami sounds unbelievably comfortable in this territory, screeching poetry of broken bodies and desperation. This is raw and unfairly good. Ending the week, we have Addy with Contingency, and I think that pop was always the logical conclusion for Addy. And all those songs like Domino Effect and Medusa that go as far back as like 2 years ago are very much driven by alt-pop sensibilities. Contingency feels like an evolved and focused form of what those ideas were going for. And maybe that is due to Addy's extended break to polish his own self-production, experiences had in that time, or any other potential factors. But there is a fullness to the sound on this track that I don't find present in earlier releases. It is syrupy, sweet, and sentimental, not only in the writing, but in the production as well, with Addy crooning over these quirky guitar chords and playful snaps, but it's so unabashed in the pursuit of that sweetness. I keep changing the exposure of my camera to match the natural light, but the clouds keep blocking the sun, so it'll get really bright and then really dark. I should just buy a light, right? Something consistent, right? Fuck. Lyrics like "scrape me up like resin, line it up like snow, shot it on an iPhone" work because of how much Addy has committed himself to the indulgent vibe of the track. In the context of how this sounds and how it's presented, that makes sense. There's no real suspension of disbelief you have to have for that to seem like a good line on this song. I also love how warm and mellow the second half of this track is, with the psychedelic breakdown in the middle washing over the peppy energy of the first half of the mix to mold the song into a bit of a slower jam. It's a well-structured track and gives Addy some space and opportunities to flex his new production methods. Because yes, it is accessible and poppy, but also there's a lot of layers to it that you can peel back and appreciate about this song. I am very excited to watch him continue down this path. I hope he's got more of this. I hope he has more songs. It's so dark over here. That is going to do it for this week's list. If you have listened to these songs, tell me how you feel about them. If you have not listened to these songs, go listen to them. Come back here and tell me how you feel about them. I value your opinion. I know I missed last week's video and that sucked and I felt bad about it, but I'm doing my best to stay consistent with these. I got like big other projects I'm kind of working on for the channel, like real big video essay to follow up the last one. And so I've been sort of retracting from projects like these, but I will do my best to stay consistent. I'm a man of the people. I got to give the people what they want. Catch me in the video where I take every musician who has gone, "I'm not a rapper, I'm an artist," line them up and put them on trial for their crimes against humanity. Bye.